Welcome to the monthly broadcast of the Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group. My name is Gerhard Roof. I serve in the presidency of this nonprofit 501c3 educational organization. We normally start with a word of prayer. I've asked Jerry to say that for us today.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for the opportunity to join together as a group and to discuss all things concerning family history and the tools and methods that we can use to find our family. We pray, Father, for a blessing upon our speaker. May she find and express to us all of the ways that will help us with the topic being discussed today, and pray God bless her to have good and clear voice to our presentation today. We ask Thy Spirit to be with us in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Today is the 12th of July, 2025. Our next monthly broadcast will be on the 9th of August. You can receive notification of the monthly speakers and their topics from our news release blog or from our website at uvtagg.org or blog.uvtag.org. We welcome the supporting members of our group on this Zoom broadcast and anyone else watching on Facebook Live or on our Facebook page, as well as those of you watching a recording afterwards on either Facebook or our YouTube channel. If you would like to make comments or ask questions during the broadcast, please use the chat feature on Zoom or post them in comments on Facebook for this broadcast. Then, when the presenter asks questions for the audience and you're on Zoom, you may unmute your mic and turn on your camera to interact directly. We are very pleased to have Kathryn Grant teach us today. The title of her presentation is Demystifying AI, that is, artificial intelligence in family history. She will share with ways to use AI tools in family history, along with common sense precautions to take. Kathryn mentions that after a number of years on the sidelines, she began doing family history. Somewhat to her surprise, she discovered that she loved it. Her specialty is helping new family historians find success and maybe even avoid some of the mistakes she's made. Kathryn teaches Sunday classes at the BYU Family History Library and presents at other family history events. Her column on family history ran in the Nauvoo Times for about a year and is still available online. In addition, she's a regular contributor to the Family Search blog. Kathryn works as a technical writer and instructional designer with a focus on usability and process improvement. Her current work assignment includes developing training used in mobile devices. Besides family history, she loves uplifting music, thought-provoking books, and fresh raspberries, which are coming in season, right, Kathryn?
Yay, I'm so happy.
The time is yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Gerhard. I am going to share my screen here. Okay, are you able to see it okay?
Yes.
Great. Well, everybody, welcome to our presentation today. So good to have you with us, whether you're here in person or listening to the recording. We've got a really fun topic, demystifying AI in family history. And one of the reasons I had the thought to do this presentation is that there are some misconceptions floating around out there, and it's such an exciting technology and it's changing so rapidly. And so, for us to use it effectively in family history, it will be helpful for us to understand it to the degree that we can. So, when my first exposure to AI was when my dad, who was a computer programmer at IBM, showed us a new, exciting, very unusual program, something that we had never seen before. It was called Eliza, the Computerized Psychologist. Now, what you're seeing on the screen here is actually a screenshot of somebody's recreation of Eliza. I actually tried to find the actual program and I can't find the real program anymore, but this looks pretty close to the best of my memory. So basically what this fascinating new AI tool did is it allowed you to converse with the computer as if you were talking to another person. And the persona that they gave it was a psychologist, so you would tell the computer a problem you were having, like I'm depressed that my boyfriend broke up with me or whatever. And then it would use your words, excuse me, whatever you said in your response, it would use that information to generate the next question or comment in the conversation. So you can kind of see here the first thing it says, tell me your problem. So I just made something up. I'm having trouble adjusting after I moved to a new city. Notice it uses part of my conversation. Is it because you're having trouble adjusting to a move to a new city that you came to me? And I say yes, and I comment on something else. And then if it's not sure what to say, the program might have it say, I'm not sure I understand you, hoping that the user would put in some more information that would allow it to respond. And so it just sometimes the answers were absolutely hilarious. But this was a harbinger of things to come. And fast forward several decades, and we are on an exciting new frontier with AI. I think it's fair to say that AI is world changing. It's on a par with the printing press or the internet or other inventions that have revolutionized our lives. So, our goals today in this class are number one, to learn together about this amazing technology and also to understand its benefits and its limitations in family history. So here's an overview of what we're going to be covering today. First of all, we're going to talk about what AI is and isn't. Then we'll talk about ways that AI can help us in our family history, such as its key advantages, family search tools that use AI, and also other tools. And then finally, we'll talk about how to use AI responsibly, and ethics plays a part in that. So, first topic, AI, what it is and is not. So, this is one of the best definitions I've seen of AI, or artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence refers to computer systems that perform tasks that mimic human intelligence, such as learning, problem solving, and decision making. How does AI work? Do you guys all remember watching The Wizard of Oz? And do you remember near the end, Dorothy and her friends come to the Emerald City and they're trying to track down the wizard, and they end up finding this guy behind a curtain. And he yells at them, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. And yet that was the mystery of the wizard that really exposed who he really was. Well, we're trying to do something similar with AI here, saying what it really is, because if we don't understand how it works, it's too easy to jump to wrong conclusions about it. So essentially, AI is predictive. That is a little bit of an oversimplification, but not much. So AI is predictive in that it uses existing data and patterns to predict and generate new data. What does that mean? Let's look at an example. Here is a sentence with a blank. What goes in this sentence? I wish we were actually in a classroom and I could ask you all to say it. But the thing is, I am sure that 100% of you came up with the word lamb. Mary had a little lamb. I very much doubt that anybody thought Mary had a little frog was appropriate or Mary had a little truck. We all just almost automatically would have said Mary had a little lamb. Well, how did we know that? Answer that question in your own mind, but I would guess that most of you would say something like this. Well, I've heard this for years. My mom read it to me when I was a kid, read me nursery rhymes, or maybe my kindergarten teacher, or I had a little book of nursery rhymes that I read a thousand million times as a kid, and this is just drilled into my brain. Whenever I hear Mary had a little, the next logical word is going to be lamb. Well, now let's compare that to how AI works. So I asked Grok, which is my favorite AI chatbot, the very same question. And this is a copy and paste of what I put in Grok to get the answers to my questions. I said, please fill in the blank at the end of this sentence. Mary had a little blank, and then tell me, I almost said lamb. See, that's how automatic it is. Mary had a little blank. Then please tell me how you knew what word to put in the blank. And this is what Grok said. The filled sentence is Mary had a little surprise lamb. Then this is what it gave me as an explanation. Again, this is copy and paste. I just deleted a few little things as indicated by ellipses because they wouldn't fit on the screen. But I have the full conversation if anybody is interested. But basically, here's what Grok told me. It said, hey, Mary Had a Little Lamb is in my training data as widely referenced cultural knowledge. I I know that lamb should have been the next word due to its high frequency and the context. In other words, Mary had a little. Additionally, no other word like dog or cat fits as naturally in this iconic rhyme, so lamb was the most likely completion based on pattern recognition. In other words, predicting data from recognizing past patterns, past data. If we had to sum that up, this is basically what Grok said. I've seen a lot of data. I've seen a lot of stuff. In this data, the phrase Mary had a little is usually followed by lamb, and that's how I knew what word to put in the blank. This is a fair summary of how AI works. So now let's look at the types of AI that you're likely to run across in family history. We're just going to do the top three because there's more than that, but I think these are the most common and illustrate how they are predictive or how they use pattern recognition to come up with their responses. So the first one, you've probably heard generative AI, but what exactly is that? Well, that is when AI creates new content based on, based on existing patterns and data. So an example of that is historical photo repair and replacement. If any of you have used a website such as MyHeritage, where you can upload a photo with a rip or a tear in it and AI can fix it, then you've used generative AI. Basically, the way it quote fixes the tear or the missing piece of that got ripped off the photo is it looks at the surrounding part of the photograph, the surrounding data, and then it extrapolates what probably would have been in the missing tear or the missing piece. Does it sometimes get it not quite right? Yeah, but honestly, it's usually really good. It usually does a very decent job of extrapolating what's missing based on the actual photograph, on the rest of the photograph. Another type of AI that is used a lot in family history is natural language processing. All that means is the ability of computers to hold a conversation, a human-like conversation with humans. So in other words, AI processes and responds to natural language, the way we talk to other humans, as opposed to have to enter in code or having to enter certain commands to make it do what we want it to do. So examples of that are chatbots such as Grok or the Family Search Help chatbot, which we're going to be looking at in a few minutes. And the last one I wanted to cover is machine learning. And that is where AI is programmed to predict and analyze results and then adapt its own code to improve future predictions. So an example of that is handwriting recognition. Have any of you done name review on Get Involved? If you have, you've seen an example of machine learning where AI has transcribed historical records, but then humans are asked to review the transcriptions and say whether they're accurate or not. If they're accurate, great. If they're not accurate, AI can use handwriting recognition, can use that feedback to adjust its handwriting recognition algorithms so that it recognizes more accurately in the future. So when you think about that, this is really amazing that we are living in an age where we have technology that can do these kinds of things. Now let's talk about what AI isn't. And I think this is equally important to understand as much as what AI is. So, as much as it might seem like it when we're having a conversation, AI is not alive. It is not conscious. It doesn't think. It has no emotions, even if it speaks in a way that makes you think it does. It has no sense of time. So, an example of that is, if you're talking to a human and you walk out of the room, and you say, I'll be back in a minute, but you don't get back till 2 hours later, you can expect that human to be frustrated or gone or offended. With AI, you can be in the middle of a conversation and you walk away and come back 2 days later, and it is not offended. It doesn't even know that you've been gone. You just pick up the conversation right where it was and it just keeps going. AI has no agency. It can only do what it's been programmed to do. Even when it improves itself, it's only doing that because it's been programmed to be able to do that. And perhaps most importantly, it has no innate conscience. It's only as ethical as it's programmed to be. So that's why we as humans have to keep referring to our conscience. We have to be aware of ethical concerns as we use AI. Another thing that AI isn't is magic. As much as we might think it truly isn't magic. There's a logical explanation for everything that AI does. Particularly, it's not a magic tool that is going to do our family history for us with no thought or effort on our part. And frankly, I think that's a good thing. I want AI to do the tedious stuff that I don't want to do or that I don't have time to do. But I don't want it to do the creative, interesting, spiritual part of family history. And indeed, it can't do the spiritual part. I want to be able to still do those things. So AI is a wonderful tool, but it's not going to replace the unique gifts of humans. AI isn't foolproof. Probably a lot of you have seen that. AI can make some pretty crazy, funny mistakes, and we're actually going to take a look at some of those later on. And finally, AI is not a substitute for critical thinking. We will always need our critical thinking skills as humans. So to sum up this section of the webinar, it's I think it's accurate to say that AI is a tool that can free humans from tedious, time-consuming tasks so that they can use their unique human capabilities to do what really matters. So, how can AI help me in my family history? Well, let's look at 4 key advantages of AI. One is natural language interaction. This made family history tools so much more accessible to the broad range of humanity. You don't have to know, you don't have to have any special skills to ask a chatbot a question about family history. You just talk to it like you'd talk to another person. Also, AI has access to vast amounts of data, data that could take us weeks, months, or even years to go through, and AI puts it at our fingertips. One thing I've loved about AI is that given this vast amount of data that it has access to, even when it finds it for me, I might not have time to read through all of it, but I can ask it to summarize. My experience has been that it does a really good job of summarizing vast amounts of data. And also, just as a tip, I found that with Grok at least, and I'm pretty sure this is the same with other chatbots, I would ask a question and it would give me a very detailed, long explanation. And sometimes I didn't want that. I just wanted like one paragraph. So if you ask your question and then you say brief, please, it will, or just brief. I mean, honestly, it doesn't care if you say please. So I'll tell you the reason that I really keep saying please to the chatbot is that I don't want my conversational skills to degrade because I talk to the chatbot in a abrupt or rude way, if that makes sense. So I still talk to it courteously, but I still do realize that it's not a human. It doesn't have feelings, etc. But anyway, back to the point I was trying to make is that if you just say brief, please, it generally will give you a spot on summary of whatever information you have asked it for. And then finally, speed is a huge advantage. You can get answers from AI in seconds compared to spending hours or possibly weeks or longer looking for information yourself. And I don't know about you guys, but I do not have enough time to do family history as much as I wish. Like that's my favorite thing to do. And on my lunch break, I'll try to do family history for a few minutes just because I enjoy it so much, and then back to work. And so having something that saves me time is a miracle. It allows me to do more with the limited time that I have. So here are some examples of common family history challenges and how AI helps. One is finding an expert. Have you ever needed help in a certain geography or a certain time period? Well, AI is available 24/7 with access to broad expert knowledge. Have you ever been looking for a needle in a haystack? Well, AI can search massive amounts of hay or data to find that needle. We talked about lack of time. AI returns results almost instantaneously. Lack of historical context. Probably all of us appreciate how important historical context is when you're trying to do family history and understand things like maybe migration patterns in the United States, how people moved from the East Coast to the West during the 1800s. There are many time periods and places where historical context is essential, but it's not always easy to find. AI shines at finding historical context quickly. And then finally, have any of you ever been stumped by using technology? I sure have. And I found that AI will give me wonderful instructions for using technology. I can ask it, how do I attach a memory to a profile in Family Tree? Or how do I install the mobile app or anything? And it just gives me step-by-step instructions that I can follow. And in the fraction of a time, I mean, I used to use online searches like Google searches for that, and they were good, but you had to sort through some of the data. Sometimes you didn't always get the answer very quickly. What I'm finding with AI is you ask it that specific question, it gives you the step by step it within a second or two, and you've just got it. Nothing to sift through. So AI is a game changer in family history. Let's look at how Family Search is using AI-powered tools to help us with our family history, and it is amazing. I just love them. Now, they're not perfect, we're going to see as we look at these, but they had to start someplace, right? And it's going to just keep getting better and better. In fact, before this class started, I was talking to the other members of UV Tag on Zoom and saying that I gave this presentation for the BYU Library Family History Center Center about 2 months ago, and things had already changed just in the space of those 2 short months. So let's take a look at these 5 tools. We're not going to do a deep dive. The purpose is to let you be familiar with them so you can explore them more if you would like to. So we've got full text search, AI research hints, and research assistant, and these actually are enabled together. And then we've also got AI help chatbot and enhanced help center search. These are enabled separately, but I found that I'm getting the same results from them. And so I actually asked a family search manager, that's why I grouped them together. I asked a family search manager in this area why I was getting the same results. I said, are they essentially the same tool? And if so, why do you have 2 tools if they're just giving me the same thing? And the manager said, yeah, they use the same technology, so you are going to get the same answers if you ask it a question. But the difference is that the enhanced help center search will give you links to additional sources that the chatbot may not give you. So that's the difference, and we'll see an example of that. The ones with an asterisk are available in Family Search Labs, so they're not turned on for the general public, for general users. You actually have to enable them yourselves, but we'll show how to do that. So, full text search, a very quick look at that. Full text search is a site on the Family Search website that has collections as of let's see, it was yesterday. There are just over 4,200 record collections that have been fully transcribed by AI. If you've used historical records that were indexed, you know that in the old indexing method, you would just index key things from the record, like the name, the christening date, and location, the parents. But you didn't index everything like the residents and the witnesses and other information like that because it takes too long. And so indexing we tried to be really efficient with that and just index key things that people would search for. But there was a loss there because sometimes you did want to know the residents or you did want to know the witnesses or the occupation. Well, full text search uses AI to completely transcribe every word on those historical records so that then when you search, it's searching the full text of those historical records. So this is amazing. I have to tell you, I was skeptical of this at first, especially because so few record collections. I mean, you look in main Family Search historical records or Ancestry.com or other major websites, and they've got millions of collections. 4,200? Really? What's the chance of me finding anything in there? Well, boy, did I get humbled and proven wrong. I did a search on one of my family names, Bescabee, which is pretty unusual. Another reason why I thought I'm probably not going to get anything. I found land records that I had never seen before. And I knew it was my family because I recognized the names and the places. So I was thrilled to find information that I had never known before about my family. Now, are you always going to get that kind of amazing result? No, of course not. Not always. But I bet you might be surprised at some of the information that you find here, and they're constantly adding more collections. So this is only going to grow. So if you want to learn more about full text search, you can go to this webinar. This is a live link. And so I understand, Gerhard, that we're giving people the link to this in the chat, right? So that they can click on that Google Slides presentation and just click on the link and go there. And otherwise, if
That's
not,
correct.
thank you. And otherwise, if you're like, oh, I don't want to hassle with clicking a link, just go to YouTube and search for Getting to Know Family Searches Full Text Search by Kathryn Grant, and you'll be able to find it. Okay, the next thing is research hints. So this is when you enable this in labs, this displays hints, 5 hints on your Family Search homepage that may include people that are not in Family Tree. So for instance, this first one is a hint for an Annie Atkinson, and then it says it's a possible child of Margaret Alice Leeming, and the reason it's showing here is it looks like Annie is probably not in the tree. So this is amazing. I have found a lot of people this way just by clicking review, looking at the person, verifying they're not in the tree, and if they aren't, adding them. But cautions, don't add people blindly. We're going to see an example of why in just a second. And definitely verify with additional sources. And if the woman is shown under her married name, don't add her that way. Find her maiden or birth surname and add her that way. Because if women are added under their married names, you may get wrong record hints because one woman's married name may be another woman's single name. And if you want a tutorial, there's a button up here in the upper right corner. So here is an example to show the importance of verification. So one of the hints that I clicked was for an Aristine Doan. Isn't that a pretty name? I thought, wow, that's unusual. I've never seen that name before. Maybe it's like a great grandmother's name or something that they're carrying forward and honoring her by using this very unusual name. So I decided to look at the sources and brought up the source, and this is what I saw. This is what they transcribed as Aristine. And I'm like, I'm not convinced. One reason is look at this swoop that they interpreted as a Y here. This is actually the swoop from the G of Margaret on the previous line. So number one, this is probably not a Y. And then these other letters, is this really an A? Because it's like missing a piece. So I looked in a bunch of other records for this family, census records, birth records, and so forth. Guess what I discovered? The name was really Irwin, and he was already in family tree. So you can kind of see how they got Aristine, Arystine, but here's Irwin, Irwi with the dot and a closing N. It's still really hard to read, and if I hadn't looked on the other records, I would have added a fake person to family tree. Aristine does not exist. Okay, the other part of this experiment is AI Research Assistant, which shows up as a banner on the person page. Before you turn it on, it has a little button that says open. And I clicked open, and of course, then it turned to close. But when I clicked open, it opened up this panel on the right-hand side. And it's got some pre-formatted questions that you can ask, and you just click them, and then it repeats the question, and then it gives you an answer. So this is amazing, but again, we don't want to use it without some verification. We're going to see some examples of that later on. So, and did I mention this? Shoot, I forgot. If you can either choose one of these questions or you can type your own question in the box down here. Excuse me, I need to grab a drink. Okay, let's move on to the next tool, which is the AI Help chatbot. So when you go to the help and learning site in Family Search, if you've enabled this experiment in Family Search Labs, this chatbot window shows up and you can just ask it anything about family history. It's got some, again, pre-formatted topics, so you can click any of them. I'm sure that reset my password gets clicked a lot. But you can also ask it more comprehensive things like, tell me about the Family Search Wiki, or how can I find English civil birth registrations? So here's an example of what it gave me when I asked these questions. These are really good answers. So I asked questions purposely that for this experiment that I already knew the answers to because I wanted to judge the quality of the answers. And I was impressed. I was like, these are really good, thorough answers that are helpful to me. So one thing I've neglected to mention is if you have ever gone to this site, used the chat, but then have closed it, then when you go back to the site, the chat window is not open, but there's a little chat icon at the bottom, and you just click it to open up the chat again. The last tool that I wanted to mention is the one that I said gives similar results to the one we just looked at, the help chatbot. And that's why I wondered about it. So the help and learning one, you can get to that. Sorry, let me get back here. If you know the link to help and learning, you can just navigate to it, or you can use the menu options to get to it. This is a pretty common site to go to, but I have not found any way to get to this enhanced help center search, which is still a labs experiment. That's probably why, unless I go to labs and I click go to experiment. So when I do that, I get a screen that looks like this, and it's got a just very simple interface, got a box where I can ask a question. So I asked the same question: where can I find, or how can I find English civil birth registrations? And we've got to find them, use online indexes, blah, 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 list of the four major sites. Is this starting to look familiar? You getting a sense of deja vu? It's word for word exactly the same as what I got from the help chatbot, which is fine. I'd rather that it was consistent. That doesn't bother me. But again, the difference between these two tools, according to the Family Search Manager, is after you get the AI generated summary with the Help Center search, then you get a list of search results. However, as I looked at these, they were completely not helpful. Okay, AI is still learning, so this doesn't mean throw out the tool, it's a terrible tool. What it actually means is we need to give feedback so that these algorithms could be adjusted to do a better job. Excuse me, but look at this, what it gave me. Top result is finding English ancestors not in civil registration, which is the exact opposite of what I asked. Then we've got civil registrations for Jamaica? What? Hungary? Ontario? Like, none of those have anything to do with my question, English civil registration. It was about the eighth result cleared down the screen before it gave me the information that I was asking for. So, what did I do? I clicked the thumbs down. That doesn't mean that's not rude. It's a way of giving feedback to say these results were not helpful. So I clicked the thumbs down, got a little box where it said, "Oh, we're so sorry. Please tell us why the results weren't helpful." So I told him, I said, the first like seven results did not answer my question. And so I know the developers are going to use that information to improve the search results. How do you turn on these experiments if you would like to? Go to familysearch.org/labs, and for any experiment that you want to enable, just click try it. And as soon as you click try it, that button changes to turn off, and then you have a link to actually go to that experiment. Other AI powered tools, we're not going to walk through all of these. I just wanted a list for you so that you can explore these on your own if you would like. MyHeritage has AI Time Machine where you can upload a photo of yourself and it puts you in a historical context. It's actually really fun. It can write biographies, etc. Photo enhancement tools we've talked about. Ancestry.com has these tools. You can use chatbots such as Grok, Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT. Another one that might be interesting to any of you who are needing to transcribe historical records is a site called Transcribus, where you can upload digital images and then have Transcribus transcribe it, and you can teach it to improve its handwriting recognition. It's quite an amazing site. Okay, we are to the last section of our class today on using AI responsibly. So I know this goes without saying, but in a way, it doesn't go without saying. AI is not human. Natural language interactions and pre-programmed emotional statements can make it too easy, honestly, to humanize AI. So for instance, a couple of times I've gotten this response from Grok. Yeah, I've asked it a question. It has given me excellent information that's been very helpful. So then I've said, thank you. And it replies back, I'm thrilled that you were happy with my response. Was Grok really thrilled? No, Grok's a computer program. Grok has no emotions. Grok was not thrilled, but it told me it was because it's been programmed to respond as an emotional human would do. But if we're not careful, we can get kind of sucked into that illusion. And humanizing AI too much can actually lead to psychological issues. That's beyond the scope of this webinar, but if you're interested in exploring that, just watch Star Trek, remember Lieutenant Barclay, or just search on Google, or you could even ask AI, what are the problems when humans, what psychological issues result when humans personalize AI too much? The point that is more to our purposes today is that if we forget that AI is just a computer program, that can engender false trust in its genealogical answers. There's an acronym that's been in the computer world for decades. So probably a lot of you have heard it, which is GIGO, or garbage in, garbage out. It basically means if you feed a computer garbage or bad data, that's what you're going to get back. So this principle holds true in all aspects of computing, but especially in AI, because AI has an added twist. The garbage may not look like garbage. In the past, like if you got garbage from a bad search result, it was often very obvious that it was wrong. But AI can make things look very polished. It can make false things look polished as if they were true. Here is an example that my sister had with Google Bard back in the days when it was Bard. It's since been renamed to Gemini. But this experience didn't happen that long ago. I would say it's maybe been a year, year and a half. So she had come into possession of some family photographs. And unfortunately, as is the case with many photographs, there was very scant information to identify it. But she did have enough to think that there were Redfords or Youngs that married somebody with a surname of Beecroft. So this is an actual screenshot that she took from her interaction with Bard. What Redfords or Youngs married a Beecroft between these years and where? And instantaneously, it brought back this information. Sure, here's the information. And it even put it in this nifty little table. And we were like, wow, this is going to change family history research. I just ask it to find this random stuff and it's going to spit it out in a table for me. But there's no sources. And then we started to look for the sources and we couldn't find any. Well, now we were starting to get a little bit disillusioned, but we thought, well, let's try it again. So then my sister asked it this question. She changed to another group of surnames in our family that are commonly found together, the Dells and the Quibels. So what Dells or Quibels married a Beecraft in the same thing? There are a few known cases. Notice it presents it as known cases of Dells or Quibels who married a Beecraft. In 1870, now it's not in the nice little table this time. I have no clue why. It's a bullet list instead. 1880, 1890, 1900. Is anybody else getting a little sense of deja vu here? So just so that you can see the comparison, the only thing that's different here is the surnames. The years are the same, the first names are the same, the places are the same, and all the data was completely fabricated. Now, that probably shouldn't surprise us because remember, AI does not have a conscience and AI is programmed to predict data from past patterns, in this case, historical patterns. The problem here in my mind is not so much that it did its normal job, but that it didn't tell me that it was fabricated data. In fact, remember it said there are a few known instances, and that was not true. The same thing happened when I asked Grok to generate a timeline grid. It gave me fictitious data. So my sister gave it feedback and said, why did you give me fictitious data? I was asking for real data. And as it had been programmed to do, Bard apologized and said, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm still learning. I'll do better in the future. And actually, we're going to see that it did. And so, but this taught me or told me about something I didn't even know there was a name for before. And that is in the AI world, and that is synthetic data. This is actually a quote from Grok when I challenged it on its fake timeline grid data. And so it said, yes, sometimes I will use synthetic data. And this is a copy and paste because I asked it, I'm like, synthetic data. So I said, please define synthetic data. This is what it said. Synthetic data is artificially generated data created by AI or algorithms to mimic world data without using actual records. Does that raise a red flag for anybody else? I mean, for family history, we want our stuff to rely on records. We don't want fake data. It gets even better in an ironic sort of way. For example, if Grok needs data on 19th century African genealogies but lacks enough records, it might generate synthetic family trees or biographies based on historical patterns. So this was the definition given to me about 2 months ago in May of 2025. Well, what does this mean? So do we stop using AI? No, of course not. AI is a fantastic tool. We just have to be discerning. So how do we avoid the synthetic data trap? I found one good way is I actually, after it gave me synthetic data, I said to Grok, you've lost my trust. And it apologized, as it had been programmed to do, and said it would try to earn my trust back, which was very interesting. And I said, in the future, I want you to identify synthetic data. But if you are concerned about that, or maybe you use a different chatbot, then I would tell it. If you ask a question where you're concerned that there might be synthetic data, tell it factual data only, or identify any synthetic data. Check sources that are provided with the AI response. Verify as needed with additional sources. And when AI does not identify synthetic data, when you discover that, then give feedback to it. Let it know that you expect it to identify false data or fake data and not to present it as real. So, this is an example of how Google Bard, which is now Gemini, learned from my sister's feedback and probably from many other people's feedback. I would imagine it wasn't just her feedback. But she asked it the same question. Actually, no, this was me. I went back to it just when I was doing this webinar for BYU about 2 months ago, and I thought, I wonder what kind of a response I'd get today. So I asked the exact same question: who were the Dells and Quibels who married the Beecrafts, or maybe it was the Redfords and Youngs. Anyway, I did one of the questions my sister had asked. This is what I got. I cannot provide specific marriage records of individuals. Publicly available records are typically managed at the county and state level. To find the information you need to do this. Much better answer, much more helpful, and much more accurate. So I anticipate that AI is just going to continue to improve, but we still need to stay vigilant. Let me show you, to wrap up today, just a couple of examples. So here is an actual hint, or we're going to walk through an actual AI hint. Remember those hints that show up on the home page? This is one that I got. So first, to set context, here is the profile information. I was working on a woman named Ellen Wignall, born in 1892 in Bury, Lancashire. Her dad is William. Here is the hint. Can this hint be valid for my Ellen? I'm guessing that a lot of you are looking at this and going, wait, it looks good. Ellen matches. There's a groom. 1892, same date. Father's the same. Wait, not the same date. This is a marriage date. This is a birth date. Is this Ellen getting married the day she's born? No, of course not. And the location is off. It's still the same county, but that's not as big of a deal as the year. Now, you guys might be doing the same thing I did, where I said, wait a second, is this just an indexing error? Or like, is 1892 really the birth year of the bride or the groom and not the marriage year? Or did I misread it? So I promise you guys, I looked at that thing like 5 times to make sure that I wasn't misreading it, to make sure that yes, 1892 was the marriage date, not the birth date of the bride or the groom, and that her birth really was 1892. And so I 5 times checked that, and yeah, this was accurate. And so this marriage record absolutely was not for Ellen, which means that this lady's spouse absolutely was not this guy. This lady is different from this lady. Here's another example. I was working on a profile for Eliza Ann Hextall, who was born in 1877 in Basford, Nottingham. And so I brought up the AI research assistant on the profile page, clicked the one of the pre-formatted questions, who was Eliza Ann married to, and I got this answer. Eliza Ann Hextall was married to William Wright. Woohoo! I'm like, that is so awesome, and that was so easy. In a matter of seconds, I found her husband. So according to the 1891 census, she's listed as Eliza Annie Wright, indicating that she was married to William. So I decided I better just double check. On the left here is the key elements of the AI response. On the right is a screenshot from Ancestry of the census that AI cited, the 1891 census. What do you guys notice? Well, for starters, Eliza Annie Wright, it does not say Eliza Annie Wright, it says Eliza Annie Hextall. Not only that, she's 13. And if you look at the image, she's single. And she's listed as the sister-in-law to the head of household, which means she's Florence Annie's sister. And Annie is the one, or Florence Annie is the one that is married to William. So, following best practices, I gave feedback to AI. I said, I just looked at the 1891 census you provided. Eliza is not listed with the surname of Wright. She's single, she's 13, so she can't be William's wife. Well, AI did what it was programmed to do. I've noticed that it's very conciliatory. It's been programmed to not be combative at all. It came back and said, in the 1891 census, Eliza is indeed single, age 13, which means I was wrong, basically. That means AI is saying I was wrong. It confirms she cannot be the wife of William Wright. The census lists her as a sister. Blah. Sorry, take two. The census lists her as a sister-in-law, indicating a familial relationship, but not a marital one. And I thought, great. When I've given Grok feedback before, it has learned and it has given me better answers in the future. Let's try the same thing with the Family Search AI research assistant. So I asked again, whom did Eliza Annie Hextall marry? Research assistant. Eliza Ann Hextall married William Wright. They were married before the 1891 census. So it's slightly different information, but it's still the wrong answer. So that taught me a good lesson that I'm going to need to continue to verify things. I need to give feedback. I shouldn't take things at face value, but still, that doesn't mean that we're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So the point of these examples is not to say that AI is bad, because it's not. The point is verify. Always, always verify. Don't check your human talents at the door. Use them to make the best use of AI. I loved this actually when I asked Grok on how I should use AI for family history. This is the advice that it gave, and I thought it was spot on. Use AI as a starting point. Verify rigorously, check sources, evaluate citations, test consistency, consult experts, and know the limitations, which we've talked about today. And this is a direct quote from Grok. AI is a research assistant, not a genealogist. And that's true. Humans are genealogists. AI is a tool. It's a fantastic tool, but we've got to use it appropriately. And a last comment about using AI ethically. I am guessing that some of you listening or watching this recording are in the Facebook group for Temple and Family History Consultants. And somebody, I think it was that group, it was either that or Family Search, somebody posted that another user had put a memory on a person in Family Tree, presenting it as if it was real, but it was AI generated. And the person was asking, is this ethical? And it's actually not. It's not ethical ever. It's never been ethical to plagiarize, to present someone else's work as your own, or to present something as real when it's not. So we're running into some ethical concerns with AI because AI can create text, so biographies and historically realistic images, and they can add interest. I'm not saying, oh, don't ever use an AI generated story or image. The point is, don't create them with AI and represent them as factual or created by a human. Just label them. Say this was AI generated. It's that easy. So we want to always be ethical about this and never give people reason to question us or to see AI as a negative tool because we used it badly. So this picture, I actually went to, I think I did this on Canva, if I remember right. And I said, or Canvas. No, I think it was Canva. And I said, please generate a picture of a woman living in like 1800 England. And I used an ancestor as an example, like she was a charwoman in Nottinghamshire or something like that. And it gave me this picture and it's actually wonderful. I mean, it's using period appropriate costuming or clothing. It's got sepia tones. It's using old fashioned furniture. And so I could, well, the trouble is her face is a little too perfect in an old photo. You wouldn't expect it to be quite that perfect, but I actually expect that to change too, that AI is going to learn how to make things more realistically and more realistically. So the important thing is this is not a real person. This is not a historical photo. It was AI generated. And so if I choose to use this, I need to label it as such. So where do we as humans fit in? Don't be afraid of AI, but do be smart. Use common sense, intuition, and caution. See AI as a tool that saves time and gathers information, but not as a substitute for critical thinking or meaningful effort, and help train AI by giving feedback to AI and developers. So, in summary, let's end with this statement that we started with at the beginning that really summarizes up AI and family history. AI is a tool that can free humans from tedious, time consuming tasks so they can use their unique human capabilities to do what really matters. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Gerhard, do we have any questions?
We do. I've got Kathy on Facebook who begins with "Thank you so much" with an exclamation point. Just getting into AI, and this is exactly what I needed.
Oh, wonderful. Thank
She's
you.
from Indiana. We had people, by the way, online from all the way from California to Maryland,
Wow,
and even can up in Winnipeg, Canada, Manitoba.
that's awesome.
The uh, I have a specific question, and I'm guessing there are some others on Zoom that may also. Transcribus, I think is a German program, is where it was generated.
Oh,
Do you
okay. I didn't know
know
that.
if that's it? Do you know if Transcribus will try to interpret handwriting from other than just English?
I have never tried it. That's an interesting question. I've only done English on it. So I apologize that I don't know that, but we could probably ask AI. It would tell us. AI does really well with facts most of the time. So,
Okay. Yeah, I'm wondering if there are other programs that might do that too. I remember one presentation from the Roots Tech earlier this year there were a number that dealt with AI that mentioned all kinds of programs, just like you did a few screens back, that are available out there. I haven't tried all of them, but I'm glad to hear your preference for using Grok. I'll have to try that. That's one I haven't tried.
Yeah, I've really
Anyway,
liked it. So, oh, okay. I just asked Grok your question, and it said yes,
oh,
Transcribus supports handwriting recognition for languages other than English, making it a valuable tool for genealogists working with diverse historical records.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I just tried to transcribe a German record here a week ago, and I got about two-thirds of the words in that
Mm.
old German handwriting, and
Oh, that's one of the
there were
hardest,
ones
isn't
I
it?
couldn't. Well, yeah,
To me, at
the
least.
old handwriting, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like Marilyn has a question. Go ahead and unmute, Marilyn.
Marilyn, good to see you.
Hello, so good to see you too.
Thank you.
Um, I was going to just mention you had talked about the full text search website, and on there there's a little box that's called image group number.
Yes.
And at Roots Tech, someone mentioned that if and you're in the library catalog and you use that digital number for a film, you can put it in there to see if if that particular film has already been processed and that. And so I found that really helpful, but nobody really explained that little portion of the full text search.
Thank you.
And then the other thing is when I go in the library catalog, for example, in deeds, there's the little picture that shows whether it's a film or whether it's available online. But now there's another little box that you click and it opens it up in the full text search.
Oh, seriously? I
And
didn't know that.
and so when I'm
That's
doing,
awesome.
for example, deeds, the first part will be the indexes, and I haven't found that to be as helpful. But if I go into a specific year, it has like you said, it brings up records that I had no idea existed quickly
Hmm.
and helps me find things. And so I have just really been grateful for that. And then the last thing I was just going to mention, you talked about how it's not accurate. It's ironic that on the handwriting transcription, they call it hallucination. Often AI will, if it can't read the date, it'll make up its own date
Right. It's
and
predictive.
name. Yeah, it's predictive. Oh, we'll just give it a name. And so names, dates, and places, you really have to check those. Go back and check those when it comes up with something. So yeah,
Marilyn, thank you. Those are great
thank
comments.
you.
And thanks for tipping me off about the new icon. I had no idea. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's been wonderful. I It's speeded up things so much in my research. I
Wow.
just feel so grateful. So, but thank you for your presentation. This has been good.
Thank you.
One other comment for you, Marilyn, on full text search.
Yeah,
You were traveling in Europe at the time, but at our
yeah.
May meeting 2 months ago,
Uh-huh.
the whole presentation was
Right.
about full text
Okay,
search
search.
by
Right.
Christy Manuel.
And
If you haven't seen that
I
yet.
haven't gotten back to see that one. I need to do that one. So, right. Right. Thank you. I will do it.
Anyway, Catherine, I really appreciate all the examples of mistakes. Really underscores what you said about verify, verify, verify.
Yep.
Any other comments on Zoom or I do have it looks like another question here on Facebook. Kathy, who posted the other comments, also added, Do you use AI as standalone or rely on the genealogy websites such as Family Search? Is there always a chat box in all areas to just click and ask a question, or is it an icon? I hope this was clearly stated.
Thank you. Those are good questions. So, the first question, do I always use it on a family history website or do I use standalone programs? The answer for me is both. So, Grok is a standalone program, it's not associated with Family Search. And there are other, like ChatGPT, same thing, other AI programs. MyHeritage, while Family Search and MyHeritage do a lot of partnering, MyHeritage is totally different from Family Search. So yeah, I use standalone things, but I also do take advantage of Family Search's tools. And then I'm still sharing my screen, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Let me go back to answer the other question. Let me very quickly go back to the picture of the help. Think it's, yeah, right here. So the help and learning chatbot, when you enable this in labs, so when you click that try it for that experiment, then anytime you go to help and learning, and here's the URL right here. In fact, I can put that in the chat if that would be helpful. Let me see if I can copy the link address and then go to the chat. So this is family. Oh, and I can't put it on Facebook. Gerhard, are you able to put it
I
on
can.
Facebook
I
after? Okay,
can
thank you.
when you put it in chat, I'll add it to Facebook.
Perfect. There
And
you
I'll put it as a response to Kathy. There, it just
perfect.
appeared.
Great. Thank you. So the first time after you enable the experiment, then when you go to this page for the first time, to the best of my memory, the chat window was just open. But then it was kind of in the way, so I closed it down. And then next time I came back to the website here, the chat window was not open, but there was a little chat icon in the corner, and when I clicked it, it opened up the window again. So I hope that answers your question, Kathy. If it doesn't, please ask a follow-up question.
Okay, Kathy, that link is as a reply to your last posting. We can make technology work for us, can't we?
Absolutely.
I was I was excited about your suggestion about migrations, and I have one right now that I'm thinking, who could I talk to about the migration of here to here? And so I'm going to try it.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Kathryn. We appreciate the time you've taken to not only do all this research on AI, but also to develop it in a way that makes it logical and presentable. I understand the limitations much better now because of your examples. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Uh, any other questions before we end this? For those of you that are newer to UV Tag, feel free to come to our website, uvtagg.org. You can become a member there and view many of the hundreds of past presentations we have, including some on AI. And stay tuned for next month on the 9th of August when a family search expert similar to Kathryn here, named Carol Hill, will present to us on another aspect of cat family search this time. Thank you.